think that, I mean, it's kind of a coincidence that it resonates with so many topics that are, in the news lately. This book was written, in the 90s and had been trying to get made for a long time, and we made this a year ago. And particularly for me, I think that the women's movement and the conversation around women in the workplace and harassment and all of those themes that we see my character experience, it's important, I think, to show that those problems have existed for a long time. But I think it's a coincidence that the series started airing as that explosion was happening. But it's definitely, there's a lot of relevant things that are depicted in the series, which on one hand is kind of a negative thing, but at the same time, I think it creates hopefully positive conversation around the things that have changed and have progressed and the things that haven't.
She's awful.
She's giving me a hard time.
Constantly. I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, she does have a very important role to play, not just with the identity of a strong female character within the police force within 1896 New York City, within the cultural, the way society was and looked at women. But she affects us both in very different ways. Sarah Howard is a strong woman who will speak her mind and doesn't need a man to feel her identity is complete. And I'm the hopeless romantic. I'm the one who thinks he's the quintessential gentleman and gets knocked back at every post because he's trying to, treat her like this delicate creature who shouldn't listen to murder stories and see, she just tells him to shut up and be quiet. I can deal with this. I've seen, I can handle this, and you are not the person to be telling me not to. And I love that about my character's interaction with Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, my character is smart enough to know that I won't find the killer on my own. That's why I set up this team of equally brilliant and bright people. But of course, as a psychologist, I think, okay, I'm an expert in my field, so I don't like to being pushed and questioned and cornered. And the person in that team who does that the most is Sarah Howard. So again, she's giving me a very hard time.
It was hard, wasn't it? I mean, also what you must remember is the special effects department, who were incredible, created the bodies of these boys were alive in earlier scenes, and we all interacted, me mostly, with a lot of them. So for me, it was a very odd thing, because one day it was the young actor playing the character, and the next day it was his mold dead on the floor. So I only realized that watching the show. I was like, actually, God, it must have affected me even more than I realized, because one minute they were alive, the next minute they're dead, and it's a complete, perfect resemblance of the actor, and it was something that we all were affected by. But I have to also say that after a while, we did get a little numb to it. We said, "Oh, there's another dead body."
Inevitably, it becomes a prop. You know what I mean? And you're faced with the fact that it isn't real, because you see somebody sort of carrying it over their shoulder and repositioning it and stepping over it, and so you become a little numb to it after a while. It sounds horrible,
but I guess that's what forensics do.
Movie magic, that kind of just.
Yeah.
But the authenticity in that show was quite something. I think I've never experienced that before. It was perfection in each department, and it's always good for an actor. It makes it easier for us to believe that we are living in that period. Yeah. And it was the bodies, it was the clothes, it was the props, it was everything about it, which is quite remarkable. And I think you can see that in the show.
We know the killer's conscious thoughts are fixed on violence. If we get too close, that violence might well spill over onto us.